Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Now what I've got for you today is a best of 3 series. This particular match is a qualification game for the GSL Code S. Now spawning right over here, in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, a man I haven't seen play StarCraft in a good little while. We're looking at none other than Raynar's main hatchery. Now, Reynor, of course, is from Italy. He's participated in the GSL a couple times in the past. Maybe we shouldn't talk about those games too much, though, because, well, I don't think he would appreciate it all too much. They were not his best events. But even though I haven't really seen him play a whole lot of SC2 over the last couple months, I know he was practicing a lot of League of Legends. I'm not exactly sure if he still is. I don't really know, but he decided to apparently give the GSL Code S a try once more. His opponent, though, in the top right-hand corner, a man who's been playing some very strong StarCraft over the last half year or so with the blue Protoss pieces, he is Zaun. Playing for Versatility, of course. Rainar. Playing for Basilisk. I actually know that, so Basilisk has 3 players. They have Reynor, Serral, and then also Trigger. Trigger apparently also participated in the GSL qualifiers. I believe they were the only non-Koreans this time around. So obviously playing over in Korea. I mean, the thing about the GSL is that the games all get played in person. So you can't just, you know, play them from Finland in Serral's case. You actually have to go ahead and travel on over to South Korea. So there's a lot of StarCraft fans out there that are like, well, Serral isn't the greatest player in the world if he hasn't won a GSL Code S. And while I can kind of understand the argument, I think it's a bit dumb, to be completely frank. But it also requires a lot of time, you know? Like, you need to spend a significant portion of your time making your way over to Korea and then playing in the event that can take, well, like a month, 2 months. In the past, it would take even longer than that. So, yeah, you can do it. You can pull it off, but I'm pretty sure even if Serral would get first place, it would not quite make up for the cost of traveling and staying over in Seoul, Korea for however long the tournament takes. Now, since the other Basilisk guys are there, I can imagine that they must have asked Serral, as we do have an Adept actually committing. They must have asked Serral if he wanted to go. But, I guess he didn't. I guess he didn't want to. Would have been nice. Anyways, we do get Reynor, and we do get Trigger. I'll definitely have a look at some of Trigger's games from the qualifiers as well. For now, though, everything here is quite normal. Only a single Zergling has died. It's always a bit dangerous to commit with those Adepts, because if you lose one of them, usually the second one is not very safe anymore either, and when you lose both of your Adepts, then suddenly taking the third Nexus becomes very difficult. That is, of course, the key with most of those early game Protoss units. Not only do you want to scout and, well, preferably deal damage with them, but you also do definitely not want to lose them. And it's a problem that really only Protoss has to deal with in the early game. You have like 5 units and all of them need to be used very, very actively. So far though, not really getting a whole lot of damage done. Stellar defense here by Reynor. I think the last time I saw Reynor play, I don't want to be rude about it, but I just didn't really like his games very much. It's kind of like when I've recently had a look at Maru's games. I mean, Maru also participated in the GSL qualifier, so I'll have to have a look at those games too in the near future. But I just didn't really like them very much. Just kind of sloppy and a little rough around the edges. Could just be that both of them are a bit rusty and they didn't really play too much, but so far at least Reynor is looking clean. Going into a quick Roach Warren here. Continuously droning. Ooh, Glaive Adepts will be Zaun's weapon of choice. Now, I think this is excellent, especially when you have a flying start as Protoss. When Zerg has to, for example, cut a corner, right? Because they lost a bunch of drones early on to the Oracles or to the Adepts. That's when I think the Glaive Adepts are really strong. Mostly because the first corner that gets cut is the Roach Warren. We see a lot of games where Zergs lose like 5 workers and then they decide, okay, I guess I'm not making a Roach Warren in this particular game. In this instance, I don't think you can really call this a flying beginning here for the Protoss player. I also think Rainar is extremely good in those crisis situations. His crisis management might be some of the very best in the entire game. He's already prepared a bit of a wall-off over here. Now, the problem for him is that he doesn't know. So, wherever those Adepts get warped in, he needs to see them ASAP. He goes +1 melee. This melee upgrade is never going to finish in time. Ooh, okay. Almost getting the wrap around there on those Adepts. Resonating Glaives, though, is coming in real soon. And at this point, Zaun hasn't lost anything. A lot of additional Zerglings coming up. He needs to see the warp in. He needs to see the warp in if he wants to defend this. I mean, at this point, the time for droning is in the past. This is, of course, by no means the fastest possible Adepts, but these Adepts do have an expiration date. Generally speaking, Adepts, they fall off the longer that the game goes on. Now, at this point, Rainar will know what he's playing against. He was already blindly making roaches, and these structures over here in the front are nice. I think he should move the Overlord. Why are we... It's so annoying, man. Okay, I guess he's got the drone right over there hotkeyed to be able to make the door. Oh, Adepts actually decide to commit over here. I don't really like that. What about the stasis wards? Decides to run them away just barely in the nick of time. Tries to trigger them. Okay, fair enough. Couple roaches get caught in the stasis on the other side of the wall. Drones run away because the spore crawler in the third base is not yet here. But honestly, I don't think that was the worst defense possible. He loses an oracle too. Did the oracle die? Oh, he lost both oracles. Queens must have targeted the other one. Let's this shade complete. Nope. That is not it, Zaun. And now the problem is that Zerg can just go for a full-on counterattack. As a matter of fact, halfway through that engagement, Reynor already queued up the Overlord speed upgrade. He knew that this fight was going to be going his way, so he's bringing in the Dropper Lords. Pneumatized Carapace is going to allow those Overlords to ferry the Queens across the map a little bit quicker. It'll be very much so up to Zaun right now to try and defend. Keep in mind, though, that he does not have Blink yet. Normally in a game of ZVP, when you don't go for Glaives, you would have Blink done. Now, he does get a snipe over there. That's nice. Queens cannot transfuse off creep. So getting the Overlords over here would be really sweet. Okay, they're a little low to the or a little late, rather, to the party. Additional Zerglings coming up. Additional Ravagers also morphed in. There are 4 shield batteries set up, though. Blink is about a half minute away from finishing. This is a Zerg army with a lot of firepower. I think losing those 2 oracles, though, is extremely painful. He does have one once again. Problem is, if he had, like, well, more stasis wards here, he could probably buy a bunch more time until Blink is done. Now a lot of this fight is going to take place before Blink is finished, and so many probes are already dying. That is where that Zergling drop went. Rather than bringing the Queens in, he decided to bring the Zerglings into the natural expansion. Now they're going back into the main base too. I think just running the links would have been a little bit quicker. Looks to me though that Zaun is winning the fight at the front at least reasonably nicely, but his economy has taken a massive beating over the last couple seconds. And I don't even really know if the fight at the front is going that well. A lot of the Stalkers have been, taking those biles to the face. Getting distracted by the link drop as Rainar wins a very well-played game number 1. And that's the Rainar we all know. Rainar has won a whole bunch of tournaments, being extremely annoying with Zerglings. It sounds like a basic skill, and in a way it really is. But he still plays Zerglings better than anybody else out there. Cheeky little Zergling drop there in the natural expansion is ultimately really what sealed the advantage. There was always a chance that Protoss was going to be able to hold at the front. But in that particular instance, well, maybe he held reasonably well at the front, but he took a lot of damage in the back. Amygdala is going to be game number 2. Yeah, so what went wrong for Zaun? Honestly, I think his early game was okay. But then his execution of the fight was not particularly good. The fight was just kind of messy. And honestly, I don't really like the strategic choice to go for Glaive Adepts if you have such a passive early game. So sure, when you kill a bunch of workers with the Adepts and with the Oracles, then I think Glaive Adepts is an excellent follow-up, because it's like a multi-layered aggression, right? In that previous game though, Zaun, well, he fumbled the engagement, and then he also didn't really have a good start to really begin with. I mean, he had a decent start, but nothing amazing. It just, yeah, makes everything a little bit more difficult. And Rainar is not somebody who will shy away from aggression when he sees an opportunity like that. There will be a lot of players out there that when they grab an advantage like that, they will immediately transition towards, I don't know, more droning and go into a Hydra den, maybe go into the lair and all the upgrades, right? Maybe go for an attack a couple minutes later, so you have some time to maybe wiggle your way out of it, but Rainar, he struck while the iron was hot. It's a little risky though, because sometimes, at least historically, we would see Glaive Adepts, like the ones that Zaun just played, and then immediately a Dark Shrine on the back of it too. And a lot of the times, Zerg would be defending with just hatchery tech. So they would have Spore Crawlers for defense. But yeah, you have no mobile detector on the other side of the map, and then all your queens die, your Ravagers can't make their way back home, the Zergling run-bys get easily cleaned up, and it can get very, very messy. Alright, well anyways. Amygdala. Once more, very normal start here for Zaun, very normal start here as well for Rainar. Maybe Rainar has been playing a lot of League of Legends, but at the very least he hasn't forgotten how to micro his units in this game. Sometimes actually taking a break and playing some other games is very much so worthwhile. Maybe he's slightly more toxic now, you know? When he says GG, he now says GG easy. He starts the game by saying, mid or AFK! God, I hated that so much when I played League. About a decade ago at this point in time, but... Why are you taking it so serious, bro? Why don't... You know, you're never gonna be Challenger. Why would you even be taking it so serious, bro? I think I played about 50 games and I was like, nope, this is not for me. I know everybody is loving MOBAs and all that, but I don't believe it is my jam. It's fun to play with friends, though. I played a lot of Heroes of the Storm, a little bit of Dota 2, but I had very similar experiences in Dota 2 as I did playing League of Legends. It just kind of hurt my soul. And honestly, all the players that I know that play League of Legends, when you ask them if they enjoy the game, they all say no. It honestly sounds like a toxic relationship. When you ask a League player if they like League of Legends, they will pretty much always say no. They don't actually like the game. They just, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe some people do. Anyways, Oracles come in. So, in the first game, Zaun did no damage with these units. This is already 10 times better than what he did in the first match, assuming he doesn't lose the Oracles. Don't lose an Oracle. He didn't know if that Spore Crawler was done. That Oracle, this one over here, could have been dead, assuming that Spore Crawler was done a little bit sooner. So even though he got some good value there with that first wave, it doesn't really fill me with confidence. That was an overextension, but he, well, got paid for it this time around. 3 drones and I think like 3 or 4 creep tumors there, not bad. Zerglings also shut down over here. Follow-up from Zaun is going to be slightly different. We're going to go into the much more normal follow-up. So, good old Blink. Roach Warren together with Evo Chamber again at the front. Lair should be starting about now. He went for Burrow for a second. Council Burrow in the same heartbeat. I think I saw the image anyway. Let's see. Yeah, he wants to defend this again. So, if you go for a lair, but your opponent is going for a similar attack, like the one in the previous game, you'd rather save your money and just go for, well, a slightly safer approach, right? So now we do go for a lair. Yeah, he now knows that this is not a Glaive Adept push, but he was just waiting, trying to figure it out. I like this little attack, though, from Zaun. The fact that he was just making it look like, oh, by the way, I got these Adepts just like the previous game, except it was only, you know, 4 Adepts this time around and no Glaives. At the very least, he successfully delayed his opponent by about maybe a half minute or so. Although, honestly, the lair timing in this matchup is not super critical. Like, anywhere between, like, 4 and, like, 5.5 minutes is kind of okay. There's a lot of things that are quite strict. Lair timings, you get some wiggle room. Obviously, depending on the strategy you want to play, but Rainar will have some... He will have some range in his gameplay, right? He can switch it up if he needs to. Okay. What about the attack over here towards the bottom? A couple stasis wards being set up. There are already about 40 Zerglings available, though. Stasis ward. Okay. Oracles have some energy, but not a ton. Maybe you should have gotten the energy recharge. It is available. Yeah. I think this 4th will indeed live. +1 melee, by the way, is a huge Zergling attack boost. So, just because they attack very rapidly, and there's obviously loads of them, you also get a lot of value from that +1. Stalkers can blink across. 8 minutes or so is when these rocks will bleed out. So he can sit behind this for about another minute. Oh, well, unless you destroy the rocks. This is already not really filling me with confidence, though. This entire attack here from Zaun is a little bit eh. I feel like he's doubling down when he really shouldn't be. Yeah. I mean, the momentum makes sense, assuming you have the momentum, right? But when you have no momentum, try to, I don't know, get the Stalker layered of aggression. It's very different than... I've been casting a lot of the max specs games of PvZ lately, and you can see this, like, progression, right? The layers of his aggression. But the Adepts didn't really do anything. The Oracles did decent, but not amazing. And then the Adepts on the back of that, like the 5 Adepts that went across the map, they did reasonably okay. They delayed the Zerg a little bit, but none of it is particularly confidence-inspiring. And now this push over here could certainly hurt. But it's also being defended quite well. Now, those stasis wards are good. Did he, however, see the Overlord drops? So we have 6 queens inside of their private jet. And this time around, we have 16... No. Yeah, we have 16 Zerglings going in. 8 plus 8 is really difficult for me, okay? I dropped out of elementary school a long time ago. Now, we have the Zerg army once more marching across. Now, this particular spot for Zaun I like better than the previous game. Mostly because he didn't have that filled Adept push in the middle of it. Let's see how this goes, though. The Zerg army is looking absolutely massive. Oh, well, the natural enemy of the Zergling is here. Those Colossi are nice. Lings over here once more in the natural expansion. There was already a photon cannon set up. Maybe Zaun assuming that this would be a Mutalisk transition. Still, though, with the photon cannon now gone, it doesn't seem like he notices. This is just like the previous game now. Zaun is so focused on trying to micro his Stalkers and his Colossi that he doesn't realize he's losing dozens of workers in the meantime. I mean, no reaction on the mineral line at all. Zergling's also destroying everything over here. And this is a massive lead. Just pretty much irrecoverable now. 39 workers go down. Now we do have an infestation pit planted down, and the queens obviously have to be reproduced. Maybe Zaun has done enough to keep this Zerg army home, but it's mostly because Rainar is just working on his own economy again and building up his tech. When your attack ultimately gets pushed away, but you kill 2 entire bases worth of workers, obviously you find yourself at a really nice advantage, but this does leave Zaun with at least an opportunity to try and get back into the swing of things. Hive coming up, no Hydra Den, no Lurker Den. I think the Hive is just for Vipers. Mass Roach, together with a couple Vipers here, would be phenomenal. Zerglings are also nice, I guess, mostly just to draw fire away from the Colossi, and maybe if Protoss is not paying attention, you can get some surrounds in as well. Yeah, ultimately, Colossi are just not the weapon of choice against Roaches. Look how much damage they do. Very, very little. Stalkers are decent, but when you don't have the numbers, it's not going to happen. GG. Reynor qualifies for the GSL Code S. Now, just because you qualify for the GSL Code S doesn't mean that your games for that day are over. Apparently, there was another series of games after the very first round of qualification matches that determine your position for the actual main event. So we have another Protoss versus Zerg, and we once more have Rainar right over here in the bottom left. His opponent, somebody who managed to qualify for the GSL as well. We're looking at Hero's main Nexus. And I would say, I mean, I don't want to be a jerk to Zaun, but I would say that Hero is quite a step up from Zaun's gameplay, at least in the matches I've seen him play lately. I mean, Zaun can be really strong too. I feel like Zaun is extremely good when he deals a little bit of damage and he chips away at the opponent some more, and then he deals more damage and then more damage and then more damage. But when he gets stopped in his tracks early on, it seems like he's got very little game plan on the back of it. Hero does not have that problem. Hero has been playing against Dark for the better part of a decade, and those two, they play some of the clumsiest games of StarCraft ever. And sometimes it looks a little bit foolish, but it does prepare you to be a little bit more flexible with your gameplay. So let's see. I'm not really expecting any crazy differences in the early game. I thought for a second we were planning on planting the cyber core out in the front, but that would be one of the worst places to put it. Over here is a hell of a lot better. Nexus on the Beckett is 2. Both of these structures built at 20 supply. This is when probes generally get cut for a little bit, so when you get to 20, you go for the cyber core on the low ground. Nexus over here on the low ground too, and then you resume the worker production again. Pylon into a second gas geyser. All of this is normal, other than putting an extra propane gas. I'm not sure why we did that. Anyway, this is Hero we're talking about, and Hero sometimes does play a little bit clumsy. The game I recently casted of his, where in the early game he suddenly sent a sentry straight through the center of the map, and we're like, Hero, where is that thing going? And it just kind of dies. And about this point in the game, he's like, yo, here, have a sentry. Very weird moment. Very strange. A little bit clumsy, but it's how we all know Hero. When Hero gets his act together, though, he really is pretty much unstoppable, right? When you're looking at consistency, I think MaxSpecs is the player to look for. I think, on the whole, MaxSpecs is as close to 100% performance as you can be. He's probably at like 95% efficiency or so in pretty much every game he plays. However, good defense here, by the way, so far by Rainar. I think Hero can play anywhere between like 90% efficiency and then like 99. You know, like he's playing exceptionally clean when he gets it all together, but sometimes he just looks a little silly. It happens. Hero just wants you to know that Protoss players are human too. And it happens. Now, so far we haven't really had any issues. He's trying to get some damage in with those Adepts. Adepts are here a little disjointed. I don't like that. Nope. When the shades are not together, you can't really commit. Oracle number 1, just about to pop out. General timing for the third Nexus is between right now and a half minute. Ooh, now this is a really nice catch for Rainar, though. He'd been fishing with those Adepts for a little while already, and now suddenly taking the third base becomes a lot more difficult, unless he decides to bring this Oracle back home. Yeah, that's what he does. He should bring it back home, dude. Those Zerglings are gonna start nibbling away at that base. If Rainar can get a cancel on the third, that would be huge. Oracle number 2, though, is just about to pop. This is going to be a very thin timing. Can he kill the Nexus? Okay, Rainar believes that he can. I'm not so sure. Yeah, okay. I was gonna say, I'm not so sure that he really needed to run away there. So, ultimately, that other Oracle also went back home and did a whole lot of nothing. So, this is that momentum that I tried to highlight in the previous games. Right? I tried to highlight it from the Protoss' point of view. Now it's from the Zerg's point of view, where you kill the first 2 Adepts, and then suddenly you get a snipe as well on the third Nexus of Protoss, and then suddenly Protoss can't do anything anymore for at least a little while, right? Like every attack right now that Protoss goes for is going to be slightly weaker. And at this level of StarCraft, it's only those very small margins that tend to, or these very small margins that tend to make all the difference. Let's see though, it's not over yet. But this is the type of lead that Zerg players dream of. Interestingly enough, in this case, Rainar is skipping the Roach Warren. He may still plant it, but since he killed those Adepts early on, he doesn't believe he needs to be building a Roach Warren and an Evo Chamber at the front. Stasis wards over here. I mean, he's just fishing for something. Excellent defense here, once more, by the Italian. It's all looking a little messy, but this is exactly what he needs. I love that Rainar already sent a drone in there to turn into the stasis before that stasis ward even began. Wait, was that actually the case? Did he actually just rally that out there? Hold up. Did he rally the... Yeah. Oh, no. I thought for a second he had already positioned it there. But it didn't take him a whole lot of time. I thought for a second it was a proactive play rather than a reactive one. But not quite the case, but this is still expertly defended here by Rainar. Not really running into any issues. +1 melee. We need to see a lair pretty soon. Okay, we do go for a Roach Warren. Interestingly enough, the Roach Warren is now quite late. Could just be a safety Roach Warren, though, that he's just kind of cruising. Third base was, of course, restarted in the meantime on the other side of the map. Hero has now finished it. He's going Blink on the back, it is. Bunch of Adepts here. Lair did begin, by the way, for Rainar. Important not to forget it. Oracle. Okay. Let's see. Adepts. Sniper Creep Tumor. That one is going to stay around for a little bit longer. Templar Archives on the back, it is too. Protoss players have become very fond of Psionic Storm again as of late. It kind of, well, I wouldn't say it really went away out of the meta at all, but they've been leaning more into Psystorm. They're a little bit more confident that they can indeed defend whatever is coming using Psystorm. In the past, it was like, okay, we first need like a buffer of units, and then we sort of like add Psystorm in the mix. These days, it seems to be a core weapon. Again, mostly because they changed that energy recharge ability. Fleet Beacon already? Second Stargate with a Fleet Beacon right now? Okay. This is a very brave move here by Hero. Maybe he's believing in his army, but I'm not 100% convinced that it's that great. Adepts do shade towards the natural. In the meantime, there is also a Zergling run by on the other side of the map. 9 probes have gone down over there. A couple drones here are dying too, but yeah, Protoss is hurting here. This is extremely risky. So the Fleet Beacon, second Stargate, extremely good when you have the time. 300 minerals, 200 gas for that Fleet Beacon, 150, 150 for the Stargate. He's probably going to go for a Mothership and Tempest follow-up. It would work wonders, assuming Zerg, well, lets their foot off the gas. If Rainar decides to just chill for the next couple minutes, he can get the Mothership out, make the Skytools transition, and suddenly the Zerg army does very little. But Rainar is not the type of Zerg player who's just going to chill. Fourth Nexus coming up. Lurker then is building. Hero is fine though. It's just that this is... it just feels like he's holding on by just a thread. I can't believe he made the Fleet Beacon and did nothing with it. I think maybe originally he was hoping, okay, this is a follow-up. Okay, now Tempest is coming up. He's hoping he's going to be able to defend against the Lurker follow-up using those Tempest. It's a great idea in theory, but again, Zerglings with the backstab. This is going to hurt Hero a lot. I think you just commit to it. Give up on the links. Yep. Excellent. Overlords coming up again for Rainar. Little run by over here down to the southern sections of the map. Rainar's base here at the 6 o'clock position is in some trouble. Honestly, not that important to base though. Like the gas is nice, I guess, to harvest over here. He's even going to be able to keep it alive. Nothing's going right here for Hero. And it's all just very slim margins, right? It's not like everything is just a disaster. But I feel like this happens a lot when you go for those early games and you lose the first 2 Adepts. It just kind of feels like everything on the back of it is ever so slightly weaker. Now we have a lot of Templar. Yeah, 6 Templar over here accumulating energy for Psystorm. Hydra Ling is extremely flimsy. Lurkers, however, not so much. Lurkers have way more HP than the Hydra does. Hydra has 90. I think Lurkers are like, what, 150 or so? They're pretty beefy. Maybe even more than that. Maybe it's like 180. How many do Lurkers have? I don't even know. Cocoon has 100. How much does the Lurker itself have? 190. Yeah, they're beefy. Okay, so here we go. Non-stop aggression by Rainar. He's loving the balloons. Bringing all of his army. Or at least some of his army. Where did the Overlords go? We had a couple Overlords. Oh, here we go again, dude. He's doing a lot of Zergling drops. It's kind of sick. Now, Tempests. Yeah, Tempest and Storm are extremely good against this sort of army. How well will Hero defend? Because in the previous game, we had no reaction from Zaun against very similar pushes. So far, this warp-in over here is excellent. There's already a reaction as well to this drop headed towards the main base. So I don't believe Rainar is going to be able to deal as much damage economically. And so far, this is exactly what we want to see from Protoss. So far, Rainar was hoping for a similar response from Hero as we saw from Zaun. But only 8 workers for like 40 Zerglings, I don't think that's quite enough. Now also the lurkers at the front are being denied. And I think after you defend this as hero, you go into the mothership and you're cruising. Lovely defense here by hero. Way better. Way better than what we saw in the previous games. Yep, there you go. Mothership begins. Tempest production continues. Very great control right there. Lovely micro right there by hero. Recalls up to the north. Did lose 13 workers, but kept the Nexus alive. Okay. And this is exactly what hero was hoping for. Look at that. The discrepancy here between these armies is massive. Like, that was like 60 supply of Protoss against like 120 for Zerg. And he's still held. Mostly just because he had all of that tech. Those lurkers, by the way, were not yet upgraded. So one thing to keep in mind is that lurkers have 2 hive tech upgrades. This was a lair tech lurker push. Very odd. It's probably something Rainar has had a lot of success against, or a lot of success with, rather, against ladder Protosses. Hero is a little bit better than those Protoss players he's been practicing this build against. I don't think his execution was messy. Stasis ward over here. Boom. Juicy. And there she is. Mama. Oh, Mama can cloak. Mama doesn't care. She's like, Nexus, gross. Hate it. We'll warp in some zealots instead. I'm not gonna get my laser beams dirty. Fair enough. What about these Hydralisks? Can we kill a bunch of them on their way out? Yeah. Now suddenly this game feels very lopsided. Rainar was winning, I want to say, the first 10 minutes. Now I'm liking this position for hero quite a bit, but this is a difficult spot to navigate. Because if you're Protoss in this situation, right, how in the world do you know when is the right time to attack? Is Zerg going to double down on this aggression? Are they going to go all in with it? Or should you attack right now, right before Vipers and Corruptors and all those other things become available? Like, when do you decide to make that call? Do you not make the call and go into a 5th Nexus instead? Also an option, but a pretty risky one. Apparently hero has decided that this is the time. A couple of the High Templar are a little bit overly ambitious. They do get sniped, although they kill some Zerglings too. Very large group of Lings now moving down south, but I feel like Rainar is going to have a super hard time dealing with this army here of the Protoss player. This is not something you can deal with Hydras and Zerglings alone. Big Zergling run by in the meantime on the other side of the map. This is mostly, I believe, just for the Zerg to try and buy some time. Does kill one of the Tempest. Protoss army decides to recall back home. Tempest here left behind, apparently not part of that circle. And you know what? This is turning into a lovely back and forth game now. Because even though I wasn't enjoying Rainar's position a few minutes ago, this is looking way better for him at this point. Now the Vipers are coming. The Hive Tech upgrades have begun. Lurkers are coming as well. Range for the Lurkers also. Researching. Hero still has about a minute though, before all of those late game things kick in. Vipers don't have energy yet. Lurkers don't have their upgrades yet. Adrenal Glands is not yet finished. And I think he knows. Even though he doesn't know, he probably has the feeling that the clock is ticking. He's a little afraid here. He's maneuvering as if Vipers are already out. Another Zergling run by. Rainar's absolutely relentless with those. Lurkers are now burrowed. Viper gets sniped as it popped out of the cocoon. Zerglings, though, are destroying a mineral line. But there's not that many workers there for Protoss in the first place. No Observer? We have no Observer in the mix? You kidding me? We're just marching into the creep? I was wondering why the creep tumors weren't going down. Yeah, we can't see the Lurkers, but we weren't planning on fighting them anyways. Who cares? Oracles are gonna be the weapon of choice for detection instead. Keep in mind that recall at this point is on cooldown because he just used it to get back home. Zerglings go into the main base. Okay, a lot of damage being done up north. Rainar snipes a base. Zealots in the meantime down south dealing a tremendous amount of damage as well. And Hero is trying to see if he can get a clash against his main army. Cloaking gets activated, but not quite in time to save those 2 Tempests that just got abducted. Still though, this is not enough Protoss. Or not enough Zerg, rather. I mean, it's definitely enough Protoss. Not enough Zerg to defend this. I mean, there's just not enough anti-air. He does have Oracles now for detection. Revelation would be an absolute necessity. I think if somehow, some way, Rainar can target him down, that would be huge. Okay. Well, saves them just barely. He sees all of the Tempest now. Using that revelation skill, Rainar decides to tap out. What a game. Next up, Amygdala. Game number 2, although I do have to fix my scoreboard. There we go. Whew, let's see. Stargate opener here from Hero. You guys want to see a magic trick? He's gonna build an Oracle first, watch. Oh my god. How did he know? Alright. In the meantime, an Adept was dancing on the other side of the map. Now, a good magician never gives away his secrets, guys. A good magician never fast forwards replays either. Turns out I'm a terrible magician. Dude, they always have a magician at Home Story Cup these days. This is a StarCraft 2 tournament. And one of the guys that showed up one day, he's from the Netherlands actually. He performed some magic tricks. And I always liked magic. Whenever, you know, when I was a kid, I always wanted to like learn to be really good at magic tricks. I grew out of it when I was like 8, right? I was like, okay, well, this is hard. I'm not gonna bother anymore. Rico, who's always there at the event, doubled down, and he does full-time magic now. He does like his own shows in Amsterdam and stuff. Dude, it's the craziest thing in the world. Like, genuinely, he's done card tricks where my face, I'm right there. Like, I see what he's, I don't see anything. Like, I'm right there, my eyeballs see it, but I don't see. It's crazy. He would do an even better job, I think, fast forwarding the replay. But he probably would not have necessarily predicted it was an Oracle first. So, you know, got that going for me. It's actually kind of funny. I remember this one time, as we do have a Glaive Adept opener for Hero. This was at a Home Story Cup. Can I call out production? I'll just call out production. He did a magic trick. Like one of those classic misdirection ones, right? He did a magic card trick on stream. And I walk into the production room after that section of the stream was done. And I literally see the production guys looking at the VOD, slowing down his hand, and fully zoomed in. They have like 20 monitors. They're trying to see what he was doing. And they did catch him, yeah. They caught him at like 10% speed. Like trying to, you know, like in those crime scene investigation shows where they have to like enhance to all the, that's basically what they were doing. But then when you know, a card trick. Anyways, Zergling's going in on the other side of the map. Resonating Glaives though is just about to finish up already. And I don't believe at this point that Rainar knows that this is what he's playing against. He does have a bunch of links done already. No. Yeah, so Hero is basically doing what Zaun does, but then better. Yeah. Still though, the links on the other side of the map put in some work. Problem there for Rainar is that he made so many freaking Zerglings that his economy was already a little low in the first place. Zaun, by the way, is like a top, I want to say like top 20 player. And you can kind of see that there is still a pretty significant ladder to climb. Hero widely considered to be either like the #1 or the #2. Whatever you feel like that day, I suppose. This was a lovely attack from Hero. Great work. 20 drones in total in this game. And what did he do differently? Well, he did the same thing, but better. Yeah, but only like ever so slightly. Rather than doubling down on aggression, we're going into a 4th Nexus. Blink is going to be on the back of this too. Rainar can't really now go for a counterattack because he needs to remake his workers. But that also automatically means that the ball is in Hero's court. Hero can do whatever he likes. And apparently what he likes is a double layered Adept push. This is odd. I don't know if I like this, to be fair. I mean, these Adepts have to pay for themselves. I think killing a base would indeed be that. Oy. He's going to be able to kill the base and then some. Yeah. Just scare those roaches and Zerglings away. Make them run with their dumb little feet. Whoa, big stasis ward too. Excellent. Yeah, excellent game here so far by Hero. To celebrate, we're going into a much quicker 4th Nexus as well as double upgrades. charge on the back of this. Gateway numbers are going to go up to 8. Storm will be a weapon of choice as well. Reynor is transitioning towards what is likely an all-in. So his way to get back into this game is not with a delicate, you know, macro match from here. Instead, I think we're gonna roll in the boys. Baneling Nest coming up. Roach Speed is researching. Now, Adepts are really bad against Banelings. I mean, maybe you can split them. But last time I checked, they don't have Stimpec. So Heroes' supply count is a little bit inflated in that department, but they're going to be fine. I think it's okay. Like, if you change... If you trade out the Adepts over here with Banelings, I think it will be okay for Hero. He should be able to go for Storm. Storm would be phenomenal. Although maybe he's just going for Archons. You know what? Maybe he's just going to double down on the aggression. That's what we're doing. We're not even researching Storm. Because where we are going, we don't need Storm. It seems like we're just going to go for mass aggression. Now, he is a little bit concerned for counterattacks. Kill, by the way, on the base here down south. But he's a little bit concerned for counterattacks, so he did plan down a lot of static defense. I feel like if you're going static defense, you should also go Storm. I don't understand why we're not researching Storm. Archons are fine. I think Storm is even better. Maybe he is not... Maybe he doesn't think he's going to be able to finish it up in time. Oh, he's going 5th Nexus. There's no way. I mean, this could still backfire. Rainor's attack is going to be a scary one. +2 melee is going to make Lings and Banes much, much better. Adepts in the meantime, ready to shade by. That's where they're going. I'm assuming they'll try to move into the 3rd base. A little bit of multi-pronged aggression. Lings and Banes are here now. Okay. Yeah, and this is kind of why Banelings are, you know, able to shut down those sorts of units pretty easily. Archons, however, are phenomenal against Banelings. He's going to target down this hatchery, but it all feels a little bit risky. Then again, Rainar doesn't have a ton of economy. He didn't even really have the workers to be mining. Now Rainar realizes that this is a base that Protoss is already thinking about acquiring. He hasn't even seen the 12 o'clock expansion yet. This feels like it shouldn't be allowed. Like, the fact that Hero took that base, he decides to transition to the Gateway Man style. So that's what we're doing. This is full Gateway Man. Very few follow-ups planned. I mean, maybe he'll go into a Robo Bay or whatever, but we're basically just trying to Zerg the Zerg. And he may just be able to pull that off. Mostly because Hero has more economy. Now, this Nexus is not going to live for much longer. Hero's saying, yo, let's do an eye for an eye. I have just killed your base on the left. I'll kill your base down at the bottom. That means that if you kill my Nexus in the top left, which doesn't even die, you're gonna be broke. He's just taking... Oh my god, he's just targeting more. I thought we were definitely gonna go home with the Stalkers. Kills another one. Recalls the Stalkers towards the 12 o'clock position. Reynor now needs to win the game with this attack. Fleet Beacon? Bro, this is not where the game is going. This game is over in the next couple of minutes, dude. We don't need a Fleet Beacon. Hero is so confident that he's going to be able to defend this that he starts up a Fleet Beacon right now as well as an Immortal. Okay. He's going still, by the way, into double upgrades. 3-3. Oh, actually, no. He just finished +2 armor. +3 attack, though, is just seconds away from being done. I mean, this is the type of game that's still throwable if you aren't so freaking far ahead. It's just that Hero, he's trying his best to throw, you know? Kind of getting that vibe right now. I think, though, yeah, at this point, his advantage is so significant that it's not going to happen as he obtains the victory 2-0.